again, this is Tyler with Legendary Vegan Art. Today I'm going to be inking a few more drawings I've done of characters from Gem and the Holograms. I've drawn the Misfits again. I really like drawing these guys in their great outfits. These are some outfits from an episode where they go to the Indy 500, of all places. I have some pretty great costumes. And for this video, I may not record the entire thing in real time. If I don't have anything interesting to say, I may just jump around to my little nuggets of wisdom. But, yeah, I'm still planning, or still trying different things with my video styles. So let me know what you like. Let me know what works. Let me know what you enjoy seeing. Let me know if you want the real-time drawings back again. But I feel like once you've seen me ink a few times, you know, you kind of know how I do it. Unless I'm doing anything particularly weird and different, which I'm not this time. I think I may just skip around to the parts where I have something worth saying. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today is the sort of fear of failure, the sort of loop of not making progress that it's easy to get in as an artist. Because fear of failure is something you've just always got to deal with. And it's something I deal with in this YouTube channel. Because I don't really know what I'm doing, don't know how to get viewers, don't automatically know what people want to see. I just have to make a guess and go with it. And, you know, that's honestly how you have to deal with it. You have to just do something and not be afraid of failure. You have to welcome it, because you just have to get a lot of failures out of your system before you can start being good. You need not to compare yourself to the people who seem to always be great. All their ideas seem to come out fully formed, because I guarantee you, almost anyone whose body of work, whatever it is, seems wholly great, is that way because they're declining to show you all of their numerous missteps and mistakes and half-formed ideas that don't really go anywhere and fizzle out before gaining any popularity. You just have to, you know, if you're doing something you want to do, like drawing or making videos, not to bring this about me all the time, but you know, just stick with it and let the missteps shake out and be what they'll be. But a lot of people get themselves into a sort of cognitive error, you know, sort of bad way of thinking, where they think they'll just have to wait and put it off until they're able to make better work. But if you don't do the work, you know, nothing's going to make you get better. Time alone isn't going to make you better. And I know some people who just work on the same thing again and again. You see this often with beginners. Or, you know, even experienced people. If you're working on something that's near and dear to your heart, you really don't want to mess it up, but you have to let yourself. You have to give yourself permission to give something your best shot. And let it be what it's going to be. Move on. And if you don't like it, you just got to finish it. And maybe come back to it later, but if you let yourself get tunnel vision, just work on the same thing again and again, it means, you know, something's wrong, something's missing from your mental repertoire. And just looking at the same thing again and again, if you keep failing, you have to realize at some point that, you know, you have to bring in some sort of outside knowledge. You have to work on something else before coming back to it, refreshed and, you know, full of newer experiences. That's just my thought. I think I may need to move my lighting again. I feel like the shadows are a little intense, but I'm always trying to improve the lighting. It seems to be a never-ending battle. But, yeah, back to the topic at hand. You know, I've done lots of drawings before starting this channel that weren't so hot. And I know that my videos aren't gonna take off instantly, but I'm gonna give this a long time. You know, I'm gonna dedicate a good amount of time to putting as many videos up as I can, making them as good as I can, learning as much as I can about what people want, what people like out of these, seeing what works. And I encourage you to do the same in whatever pursuit is important to you. Because success takes time. Even if you don't get wildly successful, you know, just doing it is still worthwhile if it's rewarding to you. So, faced in an uncertain world, you know, never know if you're gonna really be successful or not. You still have to have what you do be meaningful to you at the end of the day, just to keep your own sanity. In my last inking videos, I used a lot of different pens, a lot of different sizes, but rechecking some of my animation references from the show, the line quality is very consistent, or the line width is very consistent. So I think for a lot of these I'll be sticking with just the 01 sized micron pen. And for some of the really fine details, especially around the face, I switched to the 005, my smallest tip that's half this size. It seems to be working out well for me. I may use a brush pen that I have here to fill in some of the larger black areas, but I'm still undecided if I'll do that or use black watercolor paint. Still not sure on what kind of look I want out of this. I like drawing these gem characters because it gives me the chance to draw a lot of clothes and fashion, which I really don't know much about. It's one of those, I don't know much about art, but I know what I like. And in the same way with, you know, clothes and fashion. It never really entered my sphere of consciousness until I started watching Gem and realized how much I liked the costuming. As I said, I've been practicing drawing a lot before starting these videos, and I still do. I do a lot of figure drawing and life drawing whenever I get the opportunity. But the downside to drawing, you know, figures a lot, drawing nudes basically, is you don't get to draw a lot of clothes. So that's been a sort of weak spot for a long time in my arsenal. One thing I've noticed is I can get a little bit of a different effect from these pens. Instead of just a solid bold line, I can get a bit of a broken line and a much thinner line than normal by flicking the pen quickly. And I use that especially for these fabric folds here. You have to be sort of subtle when indicating. You don't want to overdo it. Especially if you're making up detail in fabric folds, unless you're really good at that, and I don't think I am. You want to be very careful about overdoing it, because you can't really take this ink back off once you've made a mark. Switch to the 005, smallest pen, the lines of the hair and the face, to make sure they're very sharp and clean and fine. I think I've mentioned before that drawing, you know, pointy cartoon hairstyles has always been a weak spot for me. And I used to sort of be afraid that when I was using reference I was copying the hairstyles a little too closely, you know, just point for point, but then I realized I was getting in a rut, the kind that I was just mentioning, where I was just afraid to do anything. And you gotta break yourself out of these ruts just by doing something, even if you're copying somewhat closely. You can always change it up a bit later, which I have this time. but if you don't do something, you're never going to learn. Remember, I was hearing a talk by Mythbusters' Adam Savage talking about when he gets stuck on a project, some of the things he'll do are, if he doesn't know what to do right, he'll do it intentionally wrong in some way that he can undo and fix later, but over the process of getting it done wrong, it helps solidify in his mind what needs to be done right. It seems like a pretty good exercise. Another thing he'll do is give himself a deadline. I've heard him say many times that some of his projects fail, his little, personal projects fail because he just gives himself too much time and isn't forced into making any moves. Seems like good advice too. It's a reason why I like doing this channel is because I'm stuck on a piece of art. I still gotta make a video. I'm still sticking to my schedule. So I gotta get something done. Maybe out of my stubbornness or thriftiness, I've been sticking with this watercolor paper I don't like too much. This is Strathmore 300 series watercolor paper. And they make a lot of different papers for a lot of different media. But within those, they have a bunch of different ratings for overall quality. And 300 is their so-called better. They have good, better, and best, because they're not going to call their own products bad, good, and pretty good, or anything like that. It's always got to be good, or better. But honestly, I'm not a big fan. I only had a few sheets left, and I wanted to use it up, and I had already done my picture of Clash on this same paper. So I figured why not finish out the pad with the rest of the Misfits, but I'm kind of regretting it. This is cold pressed paper, which is a sort of medium grain, but it has a very strange sort of grain pattern where the grooves are sort of long in one direction, and a little deeper than I like. The 400 series, their best watercolor paper, has a much nicer, more regular, not quite as deep grain to it, and the cost difference isn't too much, so I'll definitely be using that more in the future. But gotta try these things and learn before you know. It's another thing I need to stress a lot to beginners is that you have to dedicate some time and money to trying different things, seeing what works for you and what's just a good quality product, both for you and for your personal style and just overall. And just like there are going to be failures and missteps in your art that you have to accept the fact that sometimes you buy some not so great art supplies. It's just some of the bumps in the road you're going to encounter. It's not pleasant, but you have to value it as a learning experience. Not be too hard on yourself. And sometimes you can make the best of it. Pull off an okay drawing anyway. For the line of the lips is a very hard detail to get just right. And for this, I've just pulled this up very close. Made a line for the inside lip and left a very small gap to indicate that the mouth is slightly open. But I'm not going to draw in a hard line for the outside of the lip at this scale, because it would just come off too dark, I think. I'm also not going to line these lines on the jacket. I think I'm going to, after I paint that black, put those in a lighter color, like a light grayish blue or purple. That's what it looks like on the animation, or on the screenshots rather. I think that'll work for me. Again, it's just an experiment. Fortunately, I don't have to be too super careful about these lines, because they will be filled in with black. Another thing to be aware of is the appropriate tools, not just for your medium and your style, but for your scale and how big you're working. I was mentioning that at this scale, using a hard line outside to outline lips would probably not be appropriate. That's because this drawing is only about, I don't know, 9 inches tall. I think this is 7.5 by 11 inch paper, so it's only 9 or 10 inches tall. And my pens are necessarily going to make marks of a certain size. You have to be aware of what look that's going to give your drawing. If I were drawing a much closer shot of a face, I may outline the lips, depending if I was sticking with this animation style. Or I may not. But being aware that certain lines you may make in certain places may work in one sized drawing and not work at all in a different sized drawing of the same character and a same style, different size. It's another thing I've learned the hard way. Again, it's okay. Embrace it as a learning experience. Gonna grab this brush pen, fill in the darks on here, and move on to Roxy. But I think I may save that for another video. This one's been a lot of fun. I've said what I need to say for the day, and I appreciate you joining me. I'm still getting my channel off the ground, and I really appreciate anyone who's taken the time to watch these, especially my longer videos when I wasn't quite as sure what I was doing, or had a worse image quality, or any of the other bumps I've run into. I appreciate it a lot, and I'd appreciate any comments you'd have you can leave below, or any likes or you can leave on my videos, or even a subscription if you want to stay up to date with everything I'm doing. It would mean a lot to me. And I'm going to sign off for now, but as always, this has been Tyler with Legendary Vegan Gaming, and I hope you guys keep it vegan.